So welcome to Astrology Alert, Sibyl. It's been a while since we've connected. I remember our connection, was that about a year ago or so? We did something interesting.
hmm
So we were just, before we started, we were talking about how you and I share a number of, connections through the time we were born and the different interests we have. And I'll let you start with some of the things you said about my energy and all of that, because it seemed really interesting.
I'm a psychic and a medium, and welcome to our show. And I'm really honored to be on your show. I've seen your videos, they're amazing. I love watching you on YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
And I was looking at you and I asked you what your North Node was, and it fit when I was looking at you because I you said before it was okay to have a look. Um, when I looked at your energy, but you said you're a North Node Scorpio, which means you're an old soul. And
Mm,
I have a match. A North Node Scorpio. I'm an old soul,
mm.
and it's not that I'm complimenting myself. It could be that I had a lot. I signed up for a lot of lessons. It doesn't mean that we're better or worse than, because
Right.
sometimes new people are really cool from other planets and they haven't had, but sometimes. So anyway, I noticed that I saw you like that you had done this before in past lives. You're an astrologer, and I see you working with royalty. I felt like you have a lot of charisma, a lot of spiritual energy where you really connect with people with well, women really like that because it's really the new male, but even though you're an old soul, you're in this spiritual energy. So I thought, wow, that's really amazing. And I saw you looking at stars and creating things in past lives. And then when I talked to you just a little while ago, you said as a child or a young man, you were just interested. I don't remember the age you said, but you just went to the library or the bookstore and got books on astrology. It's like your soul, when we have a purpose, our soul intuitively knows that's where we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to be doing. So obviously you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're very good at it. I've seen your videos and I can tell when I look at you. But I had that too, where I just felt like I just knew there was something watching over me, and I used to draw pictures of this light, and I was drawn to astrology books. And I'm not an astrologer, but I look at energy, and I just intuitively knew. I used to ask my mother when I was really young to take me to psychics. So we drive past one of those, I call them sidewalk psychics, where you have that sign up palm reading or the third eye or something,
Mm.
but or gypsies or something, which can be. I don't mean to say anything bad about that. I mean, it could be really somebody very gifted or whatever. But the point was, is that I wanted to go there. And I remember crying and saying, Mommy, I want to go there. I want to stop. And she wouldn't, because she's that silly. We're not stopping there. But so I just noticed that we have that in common. And a lot of people, if you tune back to when you're really little, like what did you want to do when you were really young? What were you drawn to? Before we kind of get programmed or talked into, you should have the job your dad wants you to have, or what, if you're listening to that. But a lot of times we tune into, we know intuitively what we're here, and the child part of us knows that before we kind of get too, inundated with life and other choices and situations. But
Hmm.
so very interesting to know that about you.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Although in my case, the opening or it wasn't really as a kid. I don't had no connection.
Oh,
Not
okay.
really. I mean, maybe a little bit. Maybe I was, but I really can't point to too much in my original upbringing. It for me, it really changed when I learned to meditate
Oh,
around age 21, and
oh,
within a number of months, it's as though the universe was speaking to me in a sense. It
okay.
was guiding me. That's why meditation is so important and so powerful. And then I noticed that when I went to seek out, okay, what is this astrology thing? I have this sense that maybe these planets have something to do with this, really important. I noticed that it came to me quite easily. You know, I learned what it was and figured out how to measure, because that's usually one of the biggest obstacles is that people will look up where, you know, Aries, Taurus, Mars, Venus, but they don't go far enough where they'll actually measure and be able to create the chart and see all the angles and everything. It's not complicated. It's like high school geometry, you know, grade 9, grade 10, and basic arithmetic, being able to count from one point to another, right, around the circle, but not doing any kind of heavy math or anything, just really simple math. But it came easily, so yeah, that was
Okay.
my effect. Sounds like with you though that it was even earlier that you were.
Well, I
You
didn't recognize that, and I didn't Mercury retrograde. I misunderstood what you said, but I actually I teach meditation, and when I started meditating, I just was drawn to meditation. And when I started meditating, that's when things really started to open up for me. And I meditate every day. I teach meditation and guided techniques because it helped me open up, and I just intuitively knew that I wanted to do that. I was looking for an answer, and I tried, you know, therapy works. I did that for a while. I tried, you know, different self-help treatments or 12-step groups and things like that. But then when I found this, I was like, oh, okay. And I just intuitively moved into it. So meditation is a wonderful tool. You know, Buddha sat under the tree for 40 days and said, I am awakened. And I do believe the foundations of spirituality are in prayer or meditation. Those are the two. They're they're prayer like, you know, working with your thoughts or just talking to spirit or higher self or something. That to me is prayer. Or meditative like practices, which are like yoga or exercise or creating music or art and things like that, or meditative like where people are reflecting and kind of getting in the zone. But meditation is awesome. And so a ditto match with that because, and if people are wondering, should I try it? Wow, yeah, it
Yeah,
will open the doors, and you'll have a better relationship with yourself and others and spirit, and there's many benefits to meditating.
yeah, yeah. And you know, you had mentioned about having yods in your chart. You said yod, and I
Uh-huh.
found two. Now I see it's actually three. You're really there's a
Woo!
sun,
Yeah.
moon, sun, moon. Or wait, maybe that's not quite. No, it is because it goes to your Scorpio. Yeah, so Gemini. So sun, moon to Neptune. That's one yod. Mars, sun to Pluto. That's a second yod, and then Jupiter, Saturn to the midheaven. Lots of yods. So
What does that mean to people who are watching?
well, so yods are. Let's
I'm
just put
really,
it
it's
this way.
certified crazy?
No, no. What it is that let's just put it this way: yods, you're doing the exact thing that the yod is best at, because
Okay.
the yod links in the natural zodiac Aries to Virgo and Scorpio, so that's health and well-being and deep energies. So the idea of working on yourself toward manifesting spirit, as long as you live your life that way, you're fine. If you don't live your life that way, the yods can be problematic around health because they involve health patterns, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you do it exactly the thing that
yeah. You name
relieves
it,
the
I've
yod.
had it, and I've healed myself energetically. And
Mhm.
I'm not a doctor. I go to the doctor if, you know, but regular Western regular traditional medicine, it 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 doesn't always work for me. Like weird stuff happens to me.
Mhm.
And I've been to places in the world and I learned like these healing techniques. And I went with other people who are business lawyers and you know, executives and corporate executives and all this. And I sat there with them and I said, did you just see that? And their mind checked out and they couldn't tell me what. I'm like, wait, did you just see that? And so some of them, I mean, they connected in different ways, but to me, it changed my life. I was supposed to be there. But yeah, that's how I work with people, and I go in and clear like past lives or karma or connection or thought patterns or whatever it is. And then people go, you know, when I came to see you, my my shoulder's always been hurting for 2 years, and it's gone. And sometimes
Excellent.
I don't even know how it happened, but it's just like the yod or the guides come in and they work through me. And so
Yeah.
I thought, I got to teach this. And they said, you can't teach people to be who you are, but you can show them tools and they can develop themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I wanted to do that while I'm here this lifetime around.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about me.
Well, no, just one final thing though that you'll find interesting is that this happens very frequently. You know, the 12, the order that people call the houses, which you could also say is the sign order. So the ninth is where you teach, where you put information out in some fashion. That's where your Aries sun is, right? And your
Okay.
Mercury is there as well. And your sun, on top of, it's not just there, it rules your ascendant. You're a Leo rising. So then Leo rising is solar, and wherever you put the sun, it enhances it even more. So wanting to being drawn to being a teacher, uh, people do this even when they say, "Oh yeah, I teach something, you know, that is not spiritual at all. It could be some other area, right?" In your case, it happens to be that. And then the energetic part of that is Aries, because Aries is the pure energy of spring. It's the energy. You could say it's the most descriptive of energy of all the signs, right? So that fits as well with what you're doing. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's amazing. You're a teacher too. That's the other
Well,
thing
I
you
have
give
planets in
me.
that house too. Yes,
You ask a question and we'll teach you something.
I
But
do. Yeah.
that's so interesting to know that. I love astrology. I love looking, and it's so helpful to know that stuff,
Oh,
to,
definitely. Yeah.
to
You have
know
no idea.
yourself.
You have no idea
Yes.
how helpful it is. Even if at times, you know, you can get something and you go, "Wow, it's a little rough," you know, because once in a while, if you get a certain type of thing that is a little more difficult. But you know, to me, that's usually the lesser. The more, you know, in a way, we were talking about this how your Sibyl Harmony, you know, the idea of harmony. If you cultivate harmony, if you always pursue that as a deep archetype, then the majority of your life improves. You can't control 20 or 25 or 30%. That's the things that happen to you. Then all you can do is react, but they're by far the lesser. The other bigger portion is if you have a good level of harmony established, you attract all kinds of things into your life that are positive, that help you, and so forth. So that's where, in a sense, you're transcending the astrology in a certain way, though not completely. But I just mentioned that to say that there are points where you learn from, you know, a challenging cycle of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it gives you the roadmap, and then you can choose, like, I'm going to take this route, or I'm going to work with the issue that's
right.
coming up, instead of just being like, I don't know what's going on. But there's a time frame,
Mhm.
and then there are you have always free will and choice what you do with the aspects that are affecting you, correct?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's in a way, it's the astrology really is the art slash science of becoming really good at integrating your will into the cyclical patterns. But the will is
Okay.
critical because if you don't use your will correctly, it is a lot more difficult. You know,
Then
it just
then
is.
you're the GPS, you give them the roadmap, and I'm like
Correct.
the turn left here.
Yeah. Right. Something like that. Yeah.
Take this
Exactly.
route. There's
Yeah.
3 routes you can take.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
The fastest isn't the bestest in this case.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So. Uh,
Then like a Hunter Biden and Nikki Haley and
Yeah, turn
Kamala
to the world
Harris,
of
or
politics. Yeah, so what do you pick up about Hunter Biden?
well, wow. I have a lot of compassion for him, and I feel like his father, everyone knows his father really loves him. I feel like this isn't a bad person. It's a person who made bad choices, and they're gonna go after Biden, and that's his that's the place where they can get in to get at him. So I can't imagine, like, during Trump's administration, he was investigated for like 5 years. It was only a 4-year term, but he was investigated for years. And now here we are again. I feel like he's like the case, if it looks like it goes to court in 2025, I feel that what I see him is making some kind of a deal. I don't feel like he's going to get hard time. I feel like he might do some time or some community service. But the thing is, even if his father were not running, or his father lost, which I don't think he will, but if Trump won presidency, they would still go after him because it's about the cruelty. It isn't about, and getting revenge. It isn't about what he actually did, where some stupid stuff, he never hurt anybody. And Biden is not, there's no evidence. I don't feel like there's any evidence connecting Biden to any of his financial deals. But as far as Hunter Biden, I feel like he did an interview this morning I saw on CNN. And I feel like that was a good idea to step forward and start talking and let people, because when people see who you are, they get a more personal connection to you rather than just hearing about some guy in a laptop or whatever, or some pornographic pictures they're passing around.
Right.
Republicans passed around their meetings. So anyway, I don't feel like he does any hard time, but I feel like he's persecuted by these people. It just like goes on and on and on, and it never stops. And I feel like it's very painful to Joe Biden. And I was wondering, what are you getting?
Well, I'm getting approximately the same thing you're getting around the way it's affecting his father, and yeah, pretty much what you're saying. And if I'm going to add something, I would say that with Hunter Biden, there's an actual time published, which sometimes is a rarity. I noticed that unless you have a public figure or a politician in California where they have a registry that is public, then you can't get the time all that easily. So Hunter Biden's is known though. So then there's an actual chart, and you can calibrate it better particularly for this. When it comes to individual charts, you can still do great astrology without a time. So it's less important that way. But for something like this, it's super helpful. So bottom line is this. If I were him, and I hope his lawyers are doing this, they should push to get it in court as soon as possible, because his panorama here going into 24, there's no way this guy's going to get anything. I think they're going to, at most, I don't know, slap in the wrist of some kind. Because also what they're doing, this is something the GOP has specialized in during the last number of years. They're desperate to tarnish Democrats, but they don't have anything to tarnish them with. So you can go back even to Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. There was nothing there. So they kept pounding away, and then one day they said, okay, we're going to stop. Then now Joe Biden, there's nothing there. Hunter Biden, there's not enough. So, or remember this other guy, Durham, right? He went through that whole investigation, and in the end, they laughed him out of court because he tried to charge and there was no evidence. So the jury said, this is nothing. So they threw it out. This to me looks really thin. When I look at his chart, he's an Aquarius with Venus in Aquarius. Next year is great because Jupiter is in Gemini, helps those energies. You can see where it's been rough in years past. Like even if you go back to 2020, that massive conjunction of Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, which was separately related to the pandemic and all that, but it was on his moon. That's pretty difficult. And then 21, 22, Saturn went through Aquarius. That's also not that easy. But now, he's really at the end, because where the Saturn is, it's by the new year. It leaves the zone where it's been aggravating, and it's pretty easy sailing from there. So I don't see how this is a problem. And yeah, maybe it goes to 25. I hope not, because what in the heck would they have to do till 2025, to bring this into court? He's paid the bills. He's being accused of the fact that he didn't pay his taxes, but he did pay his taxes, right? So this is why a lot of he paid them after they found the problem. He just paid, which prosecutors, the ones that I've seen, the ones that I respect, say Normally, they never charge this. The only reason they're charging him is because his last name is Biden, right? So, but his chart is certainly totally fine. This is, in my opinion, I would be amazed if Hunter Biden got anything beyond don't do that again, and like maybe the way you put it, community service or, some kind of thing to make a show of it. But not because he's done really what he's done. I mean, big deal. He didn't pay, that's bad, but then he paid. And he probably paid interest too. I guarantee you they made him pay the interest. So, yeah, that's how I see Hunter Biden.
I could be wrong about the 20, I hope it comes to trial sooner.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's my, I would
I
hope.
see him having trouble now,
Mhm.
but this looks good.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know if you could see that there.
What
That's the
card?
strength-
What
strength
card is the
card.
second one?
The second one is a strength card.
Ah, okay.
But then I feel like there's ongoing battles because they're just not big things, but they're just gonna use his name to throw it in the dirt, and every once in a while they throw up some Obama did something, and they'll just be like that. It'll be like they'll try to throw a stain on his name but well, let's look at, they are gonna lose, right?
Well, here's what's interesting, because I do this a lot. I look at a lot of charts. So his happens to be, one of the more important charts, even if he's off to the side, he's the sun and all that. But I find it curious that next November, right around election time, his Jupiter is really good. And when your Jupiter is really good, you're happy. Like, well, why is he happy? You tell me.
Hunter Biden.
Yeah, Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it actually, Jupiter for Hunter Biden at election time is actually more graphically positive than Joe Biden's Jupiter at that time.
Okay.
Not that Joe Biden's Jupiter is bad. It's fine. It's totally fine. But Hunter Biden's is the, the classic trine energy, which is, especially like, okay, so from two angles. One is that, how did I do this? Jupiter, yeah, it's trining his Venus basically at that time, which is, it's a happy energy. If you're an astrologer and someone says to you, "What's Jupiter Venus?" Oh yeah, I like that. Immediately it's the response of life is good, life is moving along in a good way. That's at election time. But prior to that, already by the spring, his Capricorn planets, he has Mercury Moon conjunction in Capricorn, it's getting the Jupiter energy already. So that already might be enough to settle the claim or, bring it into the foreground and get it done.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would hope too. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
My timing can be off. So yeah.
Yeah. So by the way, you asked that, you were saying, I think you were telling me, what are you coming around to with Joe Biden? Because you said you've been pondering it quite a bit and trying to get the insight.
Yeah. Well, lately when I've been looking at him, I see him, people carrying, like in those rock concerts when the person dives into the audience and they carry him.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing him diving, of course, but I am seeing him being carried by people. There's confetti, he's happy, and everybody's cheering. That's obviously a win, but I don't know if it's winning the Democrat, being the not the primary, the Democrat nomination, or if it's actually winning presidency. And I'm trying to look at him taking they go up and take the oath of presidency. What's that called?
The inauguration.
Yeah, inauguration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing that, but it's not. Yeah. So when I've looked at him before, I felt like a win, but not a big win. And it feels like Kamala Harris could come in and, so what are you seeing? Does it look like, how does his chart look to you for winning the presidency?
Well, his chart in 24 definitely has stress aspects, and the astrologers that point to the fact that it's connected to the health house are also telling the truth. It's just that there's the immediate assumption, right? He's definitely looking older than he used to, but he's really healthy. I mean, people that compare his health to Trump's health, I mean, don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh because
Yeah.
Joe Biden looks like he's a fitter person. And the thing about cognitive decline, Trump is doing more cognitive decline than Biden by far. He forgets where he is. He says he's running against Obama. He said anyway. Without going too much into that, Biden to me looks healthy, but he's definitely a step slower than he used to be because he used to be a better communicator. If you go back, say, 10 years, right? So those health aspects, yes, he could get a health issue in 2024. But it could also be because that house also rules just lots of work. And of course, he's going to be super busy. So that accounts for that, right? And when I look at his overall pattern, it's not perfect by any means, but it's more than good enough to win the election, especially when you compare it to Trump. Trump's pattern is catastrophically bad. I'm amazed at astrologers that say, oh, Trump's is looking. I saw this one guy saying, he was writing commander in chief all over the chart, and I'm thinking, what are you looking at? What are you pointing to here? It was a Vedic person. Not that I'm attacking Vedic, just that this is what the guy was doing. And I thought, I don't see the patterns here. To me, Trump's is in a lot of trouble. Biden's more than good enough. But then when you brought in Kamala Harris, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because Kamala Harris has an excellent chart next year. Why would that be? Why is she rocking in 2024, especially from the middle of the year right through the election into the middle of the following year? That's a very good year for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has Gemini rising. Jupiter is crossing the ascendant. When Jupiter crossed Bill Clinton's and Barack Obama's ascendant, they were elected for the first time. Those are big moments. Jupiter through the ascendant is big, big, big. So, again, why would Kamala be now? Unless you would say maybe Biden can't run and then it's Kamala, but to me it
But
doesn't matter.
I feel like that is a possibility.
Perhaps. So if that happens, I'm still not worried about. In fact, if anything, I'm even more confident about the outcome. But Biden does have enough to win, right? Uh, even with
Wow.
his supposed, potential problems.
Well, Kamala Harris looks really good. I feel like she might have trouble with the if she got in there and won, which I feel like I mean, she's very powerful and but I feel like um she would do a really good job. The Democrats would like her, but the other side would be full on attacking her and trying to, I don't know that they could find anything, but
Oh, they
yeah.
do that too. The other side, in recent years, they're it doesn't matter who you put there. You put
Yeah,
anybody
that's
there, they
right.
they spend
But
all
this
day and
is
all
a woman
night.
of color.
Yeah, it is. It is. But this is she's a woman of color. But the thing is, when you play those games in the era we're in, you're also discrediting yourself uh, pretty much because women are rising in power. They're getting more and more influence in society. That's one of the astrology patterns that's been in play for like pretty much during the 21st century. So uh, it's a really bad idea what the GOP is doing, trying to take away women's rights. And if you have a woman in power and you start attacking her, especially, the way they do in Britain sometimes with Meghan Markle, by implying, oh, she's African American, and that's not a good look. It's going to actually rebound on you. But I'm not looking, by the way, when I say Kamala, I'm focused on the election. I'm not. I didn't look too far beyond that. Just
Yeah.
the idea of what's happening in 2024. And one of the things people say about Kamala is, oh, she's always in the background and she's not all that inspiring. Watch in the middle of the year what happens to her energy and
Yeah.
the impact she's going to have on the election.
Yeah, because I wondered why aren't people talking about her and why don't people like her? I know the right attacks her, but just in general, I just don't. But actually, she's very powerful, law and order president, has a lot of energy, and she's very powerful. I like her. I just feel like she might have a I'm getting all these, I don't know if you can see these, I'm getting, like, you never get this. 3 major arcanas standing up when I ask what will happen with her presidency. First, I get like there's a little bit of a problem with money or something, or some kind of physical problem. I never see that. What's
3
that?
arcana, yeah. Yeah, that showed
That
that's
is
yeah.
3 really powerful justice, temperance, and the sun. This is light. This is balance and harmony. This is justice is coming. But then I saw this. So it's reversed. So I'm wondering if somebody's going to give her some trouble or try to stop her from getting in there or something. Or maybe she won't be able to do a second term. But
Yeah, well,
I feel like she has a lot of power, whether she's vice president or president.
right. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the way I've looked at it, without taking into account that if something happens to Joe, then I think, well, that's fine because Kamala can run really well with her chart.
Can
going
she
into
just
that
step
election.
in there like that? If something were to happen, can you just like,
You know, the thing is, we don't know. I mean, it depends what happens. That to me is the probably the unlikely thing to happen. More likely would be that Biden wins with Kamala, and then maybe Biden, in the middle of his term, hands it over to her. That's more
Right.
of a possibility as as an outcome. I think. Yeah. Possibly. I mean, this is like we're projecting a little bit. I guess most of
it's
my
far away. There's lots to read on. The closer something gets, the easier it is to read because there's less options. Like when I looked at Trump, and a lot of readers I've seen, watched a lot of readers read on him, and there are different things that could happen to him. A lot of people feel like he will not win a second term. And I agree with that. But what will happen to him? Will he be the nominee? It looks like he's going to be the nominee, but I see it like a road, and then there's fork in the road, but there's different ways that you can go.
Mhm.
And none of those ways lead to president. One leads to illness. One led to like, I don't see him passing, but I didn't see, or 14th Amendment or something else. I don't know what it is, or because he doesn't seem to be losing in popularity, even though I don't believe the polls, but I just don't see him. How does his chart look?
Well, his chart, this has been my analysis that if you put them side by side, Biden, Trump, there's a really good astrological explanation why Biden has had a hard time really the whole year and especially the end of the year. And as we go into next year, by spring, it gets easier for Biden because of where this, Saturn changes position and starts to assist instead of running interference. With Trump, he's got almost all of the energies are against him, but he has Neptune is helping him by keeping his popularity going for now. But when we get into the spring, right around the same time, it's the flip, because then what happens is the Neptune moves away from that support, the other stuff coalesces on him. The middle of the year next year is brutal, totally brutal for Trump. And you can kind of see Jack Smith is setting him up for that because he's saying, hey, I'm going to have you in court in March. And the judge, I'm pretty sure, wants the same thing. And he's got him dead to rights. He's even got his phone records now. He's going to establish, you did this and you did it. It's absolutely true that you did this. And he's going to be in D.C. The jury's in D.C. I don't see that turning out well at all, when I look at the astrology, especially because of how this thing coalesces, right? So you look at that and you think, okay, how can that go well? And secondarily, speaking of yods again, because we talked before about yods, a yod, if you're born in a yod, that's one thing. You get to do it, you learn about it, you practice, you can express it in better and better ways. But when you're experiencing a yod in transit, that's more risky because a yod in transit means 2 planets in the sky are sextile like that, and they point at one of your planets to make a yod, that's a potential health problem, which tends to be more dangerous the older you are, right? Obviously, because when you'll experience yods when you're younger, you might or might not get sick. Trump has really serious, difficult yod energy in 2024. I've said this for years. It's coalescing on him right around that same time, and it's to his Mars and his ascendant. It's risky, and to me, he looks way more like a health event waiting to happen than Biden. Even though, yes, I know Biden is older, not by much, by the way, but that's how I have, analyzed it.
Yeah, I kept seeing Trump in a hospital getting an IV. There might already be some things going on with indigestion and such, but I feel like there's something that could very possible happen. And I do feel like he'll be convicted in the court with Jack Smith.
Well, think about it though. Just that alone, I mean, the man.
That could be the third fork in the road.
Well, and people always talk about him being Teflon, and he always projects this braggadocio, this incredible confidence. But he's in a lot of trouble. When you're charged with all these felonies and you're going to be in court, that increases the stress to stratospheric levels, which is not going to help his health.
And he hasn't taken care of his health.
No, I mean the way he behaves. This is like this guy's. What does he live on? Lives on cheeseburgers and Diet Coke. Is that his nutritional pattern? And ice cream. What I hear is that he gives himself 2 scoops and he gives everybody else 1 scoop. I mean, like nice guy. The nicest guy you can find out there. Total class act. Can you believe that? Can you believe that a person? I mean, that is like a total teenager. Something that a truant teenager would do. I'm taking 2 and I'm giving you 1. Holy Lord. Unbelievable. But yeah, that was reported by one of the many people that have written books about him.
Yeah. I still see that judge being removed, that canon because that's unbelievable. I saw when that happened. I saw like, oh my God, he's put people have died, our allies, and all these people I was seeing it psychically, all these people were running. I'm like, this is huge. Mm-hmm. He sold our secrets. And then it started slowly leaking out. Well, he shared this person with the author, the writer or editor for Mark Meadows' book, and he showed some Australian businessman. And I mean, this is like unheard of. Anybody else would have been in prison a long time ago.
Yes.
Solitary confinement, so they couldn't share any more secrets. And the judge is like fiddling around. Well, there isn't really any. I mean, it's just, I still see her being removed, but I feel like that case will drag on for years. He might still be, in a wheelchair, some disabled state of mind.
Yeah, that fits with when you look at the pattern. Her chart, I don't have a time, just today. But looking at today, I was pretty sure that she would be in the mix of the situation, which she is. Like when I looked at it last year, she's got all kinds of action. I think what she's doing is she's using clever maneuvers with the timing where you can't really take it to, remember how they, in the previous case, they took it through appeal and then the Third Circuit or, that superior court forced her to back down. But the way she's doing the scheduling is a clever way to delay, right? To keep the thing going without getting in so much trouble that the Jack Smith could ask her to have to be removed. But she behaves in such a partisan way that I think eventually she might be removed. Yes, it's true.
Her chart does not look good?
Her chart right now is a mix of good and bad. That's why she's in the midst of all this tension, but she's getting her way, she's getting her way because there's no real way for him to do anything at the moment other than, go along with what she's saying, basically.
Yeah. I'm interested. I don't know exactly who it is because I haven't looked individually, but when they start, but I feel like they will start indicting congressmen.
Yeah, well, to me that has the feel though of post-election because
it does?
In a way because think about what's happening. We're in this place where it's almost like this this, like in sports, a final where the winner takes it all. So
Okay.
Trump is trying to win so he can make it all go away. But if he loses, the opposite happens. Then it
Oh,
all
that's why they're
lands on his
trying to
head.
help him.
Yeah, which by the
Why,
way,
why are they helping this guy who will destroy them in a second's notice if they don't break laws and do whatever he's, trying to tell them to do?
right.
Why
But
do
when
they
you were
want him in
saying
there? To protect them?
that's right, but you were pointing to the congressmen, and when people see people like Matt Gaetz, MTG, and you think, wait a second, these people were doing the thing with the January 6th, and they were asking for pardons. Why? Obviously, there's something going on.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Yeah.
bet you anything that Jack Smith or another prosecutor, they'll come later because they want the big fish
Okay.
first,
So
and
you
then
see it coming later.
yes,
Yeah, timing's
definitely.
not always my thing, but because it seems to be like an impediment, even in the January 6th commission, they wouldn't indict those guys. They'd ask them to come in, like, no, we're not coming in. They'd be like, okay.
Yeah, well, they had to pick their battles
They
because you
arrested
think.
Steve Bannon or somebody else, but they're like, with those guys, they're like, oh, they're not touchable. I'm
I
like,
mean,
what?
the thing about this whole thing is that it's so laughable because Trump keeps saying, this has never been done to anyone before. That's right, because we've never had a crook like you before. And that's why it's been done to you, right?
Yeah.
So there are so many norms, things that we consider decent that people don't do that he's doing. So then maybe some of them will be turned into laws. I don't know. But at the moment, the big struggle is that he says crazy, idiotic things, and you actually have to go to court, like this thing where he goes, well, I have presidential immunity. And like someone said in my channel, this person said, well, by that logic, if the Supreme Court says, yeah, you do, then Biden should arrest him and put him in jail immediately because then he can't commit any crimes while he's president, right? That's the
Right.
same logic.
Well,
But you can
Biden
just do
could
whatever you
shoot
want.
him.
So you're under arrest. I'm putting you in jail. The Supreme Court says that I'm allowed to do this. I mean, it just defies logic. But the fact that he's doing it is because of who he is,
Yeah.
and in part because he was trained his whole life to be, throw things in court, throw lawyers at it, throw money at it, and in part because he's a crook and a liar and a scoundrel. It's that simple, It's not
Yeah.
a complicated thing. Yeah,
Yeah. It's, yeah. Oh,
I know.
okay. So what about Nikki Haley? Do you see her could she be if he's not the front runner, could she be?
Yeah, she actually another one that I have to work with the day, but not the time. And for big, predictive, momentous stuff, the time really helps. So with her though, she's a really late Capricorn. So Pluto is near her sun. That's very empowering. And so it doesn't surprise me why she's rising to the top of the second tier, like better than Chris Christie or especially DeSantis, because DeSantis has Saturn opposing. I remember saying last year, if this guy doesn't pick it up pretty quickly between now and May, when things get even worse, I think in May, he'll disappear. He'll just, give it up.
Okay.
But Nikki Haley is a definite possibility, for having. So she might be the person that survives if something happens to Trump, for example. It's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, she's got a lot of backers behind her. Oh, I get good cards for her. I get
You-
all positive yeses for her being a front runner for the Republican Party. What about the main election? How does her chart look on election day for president? Have you looked at
Um, Again, see, that's where it gets a little hard for me because I don't know her birth time and I don't know what's crossing
Oh,
the ascendant and things like that. But it is pretty good, though I suspect, I'm just going to say this, I suspect not enough to pull it off and to win. Just pretty good. When I look at the combination of Kamala and Joe Biden, and I look at the
yeah,
broader picture, because my feeling is what's going to happen here is that the Democrats are going to hold on to power, the presidency.
uh-huh.
I feel like they'll get the House and the Senate too, but there I'm not as 100% confident. Maybe they might not keep one of them. I don't know. But the presidency is the key thing. But then the other side is not going to be happy, and we're going to have a pretty rough time of it for at least a couple of years, if not longer, because they're not going to lay down their swords. They're going to continue with their craziness. By the way, this goes to what you said. I think it matches what you were saying about how maybe it won't be a very big win. And so these guys, whenever they don't lose big, they think, well, we were close, so they keep doing the same thing as before. It's almost like
Oh my
you can
God.
already anticipate it. They keep thinking, yeah, there are enough people that like us, so they persist in their lunacy, And so that's my feeling about
Yeah, I feel like
2025.
this abortion issue is gonna, whenever I see that on the news or something, I get this singing in my ears. It sounds like angels going, oh, like they're just telling me this is the issue. All these young women and young people are going to come out and vote on, and this ban, or with exceptions, because you're seeing in Texas what exceptions look like. Women's lives are at stake and their future fertility. It's not about saving babies life. It's about controlling women's bodies and being cruel, because this woman wants to have children. The woman in Texas that got pregnant, and her pregnancy is not viable and her life is at risk. She's in pain and she's been to the emergency room 4 times, and the court said that she could have an abortion. And then Ken Paxton is really the Attorney General of Texas. He shouldn't be anything, he should be in jail. He was impeached so many times. Came in and said, no, we don't believe you. You're not in pain. I'm going to make the decision for you and your doctor. And the Supreme Court ruled, backed him up. And she had to leave the state. Luckily, she could leave the state. And so she's probably going to live, but she might not be able to have any more children. I haven't looked at that yet, but I feel like she'd be terrified to have another child. Why would she go through that again? I feel like she may not be able to.
Yeah, no,
and this isn't the first or the last time this happened to a woman.
It's a very bad issue for the GOP. That's why you notice that, that smarmy, bag of nothing, Ted Cruz, that when they asked him, he said, oh, ask my press office. He wouldn't comment on it. And there was another guy in the Congress who ran away from the reporter. They don't want to talk about it because it's a very, very bad issue. And Democrats, I am pretty sure they're going to do this. Next year, they're going to talk about democracy, they're going to talk about women, and they're going to talk about weapons. And those 3 topics are very powerful for young people, for old people, for everybody, for women. So they're running in a very hampered state. Like Nikki Haley has to argue an indefensible position. That's her problem. It's an indefensible position. What she's talking about makes no sense.
What? Sorry.
What I'm saying is that it's indefensible to argue anything other than that women should have total choice to do what they want to do with their body. The government should not be involved in that, period. You say anything else, you'll have women voting against you in large numbers. It's like that.
And she is, right? She is. I think she has we can do a 6-week or a 15-week ban or something.
She's still because they, you know why? She probably would want to say that, but she has many people in her crew, in her the base of the Republican Party. That's the pro-life people. So if you say, oh no, I'm 100% pro-choice, then they may not even vote for you at all. So you're stuck. Trump himself, who was the architect by putting in those judges, and they took Roe v. Wade down. Trump wants to say that they should give women more freedom because he knows what a terrible issue it is. He knows he's going up a really steep hill if he has to argue. Like, remember how he said in 2016, they should punish the woman for doing that. Talk about a stupid thing to say, right? So now he's trying to backtrack, but it's hard to backtrack because a lot of the people in that group, they want the evangelical pro-life position. So it's hard. It's hard running for president. Nikki Haley, that way, she's better than her party, in my opinion. She's a serious politician who doesn't scare me nearly as much as a lot of these other politicians in the GOP, but she's running very hampered, like with her hands tied behind her back because of the issues she has to defend.
Well, the Koch brothers gave her a big donation. I feel like she would be beholden to them. She's not scary. She's like the only one on the whole stage with a brain that, I'm sorry, I don't even read on Vivek Swami, because to me, he's like a crazy person. I was like, what?
No.
He's also trying to be like a mini Trump.
And that guy's a slime ball. You know what he did to make all his money? He set up a company And he, what a clever thing to do. He set up all these trials, and then when they failed, he kept all the money. He basically took the company public, and then he probably already knew, yeah, we'll just do trials, and then when it doesn't work, he keeps the dough. These people, I swear, GOP produces a lot of thieves, basically. People that know how to take money from people. That's what they're trying to do. And he's just a loudmouth, a total right-wing nut. The one person that I really like in there, but he's getting zero traction, is Chris Christie, because Chris Christie actually is telling the truth about Trump,
But
So,
how do you see, is he gonna get a VP on something?
no, I don't think he's going to get anything, because the thing with Chris Christie is that, well, first of all, he's Virgo energy next year. When you're a Virgo, it's not the greatest sign to run for president under right now. It just
Oh,
isn't. Saturn is on the other side. It's not the way to go. It's better to wait for a different turn. Now, mind you, between this May and the following May, the Jupiter position is really helpful, which is why he's out there and he's being known and so forth. But I don't think it's the same problem that DeSantis has. They're there, they're on the stage, but I think neither of them is going to get anything from this.
well, I liked him because he was the only one that was up there saying the truth
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, the only thing is, though, that they're
about
so.
Trump.
The problem with Chris Christie is that he spent years aiding and abetting. He's total orange crook. He was
Whoops.
helping him. Then, he probably knew. I mean, I bet he was going home telling his wife, I can't believe how crooked this guy is. Then he finally told the world, right? Because Trump is like a criminal machine. He just
Well, Trump
spends
gave
all.
him COVID.
Yeah, but yeah, remember that he gave him COVID, and then he called Christie and he said, you're not going to blame me, are you? That was the only thing he said. He didn't ask him, how are you feeling? Anyways, whatever. Trump is like,
If these people are elected, are the most powerful. It's hard to believe how our screwed up our government is, but we're getting better. Is the age of Aquarius going to be better? Because I'm thinking we're going, like, all this garbage keeps coming out. You couldn't imagine such garbage. I mean, it was there and everybody kind of knew it before, and people are like, oh, politics. And now it's just like, whoa.
yeah,
Like,
I do believe overall, because if you're going to talk about Aquarius, probably the biggest influence is that Pluto is going to switch into Aquarius starting in 25 all the way until 2042 or so. It's a long swath in Aquarius. And that energy, in contrast to where it's been since 2008, it's been in Capricorn. 2008 till now,
ooh,
that's how you breed fascists, because Pluto in Capricorn is a sign of government, and Pluto wants totalitarian, ultra male, patriarchal centered, Putinism. That's what
okay.
Pluto in Capricorn is. So now it's switching, and Aquarius is a much more people-oriented, democratic sign. So it's going to pull it in that direction. The only thing is, though, that people hear that and they might think, oh, it's going to be utopia. No, it's not. It's going to be better, but don't count on utopia and everything's going to be great. You'll still be
That's a
complaining about something.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
centuries away,
yeah, exactly. And I mean,
hundreds of years away, maybe
well,
someday.
yeah,
But it could
hope,
get better, right?
yeah, no, well, the
Yeah,
main thing is
that's
that
what yeah.
things get better. This is where it gets interesting, because that thing I did with that astrologer, Dan Waits, it was a lot of fun. We were looking at the big planet patterns, and we're talking about how a really famous astrologer that died in 2019, who had predicted the pandemic, he looked at the patterns for the middle of the decade and he saw them really positive. Great. Dan pointed out that, well, maybe not entirely, because he also could see that we might be a little worried about nuclear for a few years. And
Mm.
nuclear has become more of an issue in recent years, as we all know. But I tilt toward things getting better as we go into the second half of the decade. But if you're assuming that, the election ends and we're back to normal, no, we're not. Don't assume that. Keep your seatbelt on and remain in the battle, because
Yeah, and this year is going to be a real
oh,
S show.
a
It's going to
total
be
total S
addicting.
show.
It's
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
the
Yeah, but
intensity and the crap and oh my God. So yeah,
right,
take really good care of yourself. Put your
you know,
safety belt on. Take a breath.
exactly.
Breathe.
Yeah,
'Cause, yeah.
yeah. And the thing is, isn't it true that if someone asked you, okay, when all is said and done, you've got two teams, And even if you don't say, well, of course, you and I prefer the Democratic team, but even if you just said, okay, imagine that it's like we're going to be in a sporting event, big match coming up. Which team would you rather be on? Choose a team based on everything you know. Which team would you rather be on? In terms of winning and losing, don't tell me that you're on that team because you like the things they think or do. Just based on the strength of the team. Which team would you rather be on? I mean, do you not? Because for me, it's pretty easy. The Democrats have a stronger team by far, stronger positions. They have the incumbent president. By the way, they spent mountains of time telling us the economy is going to fall apart. The economy is doing really well. That helps a lot too. For a sitting president, helps a ton. Unemployment lowest in in many decades even. So there are lots of good numbers around going into 24 for Biden.
And unions getting new contracts, and that's going to be happening more. And
yeah,
they're done. They're fed up. They're done with it especially after COVID. And I mean, you can only sit around and be scared for so long. They're just sick of it,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people
yeah.
are just in the astrology. I think that's kind of Aquarius. It's like, I love Pisces and I have Pisces planets, but it's kind of out of balance, can be, following, ideas or beliefs or
Wait, what Pisces planets do you
religion.
have?
Right? What?
You have Aquarius planets. No, you don't have any Pisces planets. You have
I
Pisces.
don't.
I don't. Do you?
I
No,
thought
you don't.
well, I almost was born a Pisces. I guess not. I think if I would have been too spiritual and up in the clouds to be on the planet. So I got
Well,
some.
you know what it is though. For you, what it is that you the planets that rule Pisces, Jupiter and Neptune, and those two for you, they encircle your north node. So you spend a lot of energy trying to be Jupiter and Neptune. So Neptune is like Pisces. I mean, Neptune it's even more Pisces than Pisces in certain ways. It's a sort of the pure,
There
like
it
when
is.
someone is in the other world and they're totally connected to the spiritual.
Yeah, no, I live in energy world. I live in
Yeah.
spirits, and when I go out to the grocery store, I'm like, oh, there's people here that aren't nice. Oh my goodness. I try to
Yeah.
be nice.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's so
No,
that's
I live in, my whole house is full of statues and crystals and tarot cards, and the angels are here with me, the spirit guides, and that's I go on walks and hawks come up to me and
and by the way, I'll
whatever.
tell you something else, right? So because you have this ultra strong Neptune with the North Node is where a person is almost obsessed with developing that energy, making it grow, connecting to it. So that's the Neptune. But now in transit, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011, and it's going to exit into Aries in 25 and 26 fully. So you're going to get even more Neptune. So going into 26, 27, 28, Neptune is going to cruise through your sun, and then you've got your Lilith there and your Eris. So you've got a lot of Neptune coming up. So that
Might float off the planet.
well, I mean, the one thing is that the advantage of getting a Neptune transit, the later the better, because when you get a Neptune transit and you're a teenager or say 20s, even 30s, what happens is that it's more easy to go off on tangents that are not all that helpful or productive. Neptune loves to escape too. It doesn't want to deal with reality.
Oh,
But-
okay, that's what I did.
Right, but now with Neptune, for you, I think what it's going to do is it's going to revolutionize your teachings, the things you bring to people, because Neptune going through your sun will really, bring the two together. And so
Wow.
I would think it would be a really good thing.
Wow, so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, this has been awesome. Where
Yes.
can people find you?
Well, they can find me right here this is the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no.
what's the name of your channel? In
it's
case they're on my show watching, or no, they're not on my show. We're on your show.
Well, no, they'll probably watch it on your show too. Astrology
If you
Alert.
send me a link, I can post it on my show.
Absolutely, yeah. It's Astrology Alert. That's what
Okay.
I've named it, and I don't plan to go anywhere, and I'll be doing this next year, as you said.
And you do personal readings too?
Oh yeah, I'm doing
Okay, right.
personal readings
Right.
all the time. Yeah, so
Awesome.
here. All right, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to the next one. I can visit your channel next whenever you
Yeah, okay,
have an
so,
opening.
yeah, so let's do that again soon. I'll send you an email or,
Absolutely. So
yeah.
we'll say goodbye to everyone for now. Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you for watching.